It's finally time to add some UI elements and implement scoring mechanics. So those things kind of go hand in hand. We're going to just have like the score at the top right corner, and then, make ways for the score to be incremented, and the combo system is also going to be part of this. So this should be pretty fun, and it'll really make it feel more like a game, and it'll make the player feel more excited to make matches because there'll be more feedback for their actions in the game. So another thing I want to add as part of the UI is to have like maybe a box around this, like a square, and the word next to let the player know that this is the next block they'll be getting after their current quad is dropped, to make the game a bit more intuitive. So first thing I'm going to do is add a new folder, and I'm just going to call it UI. And that, of course, stands for User Interface. And I'm going to make a UI blueprint. So this is a widget blueprint. And I'm going to call this UI underscore HUD. That's just what I usually tend to call the main UI widget that I'm using. And that's User Interface Heads Up Display, which is what they generally call the main UI elements that the player sees during gameplay. So it's all the things that give them information related to the gameplay so that they can, have more knowledge about what's going on. That's what the heads-up display is meant to do. Now let's start implementing things in here. So this is a pretty fancy editor that allows you to place things on the screen, and then you'll know where they end up, and it scales, and there's all sorts of options to make it really exactly the way you want this screen to look. I'm going to keep things pretty simple. We have a canvas panel, which is just covers the entire screen by default, and you place things inside of that. So there's a hierarchy of the widget, and then the widget has panels, and then those panels contain other elements, and those elements can have elements within them. So it's a big hierarchy of different objects. So I'm going to use a horizontal box, and that allows you to place multiple elements inside of it, and then you can affect how they're laid out horizontally relative to each other and relative to the screen. So inside this horizontal box, I'm going to have two text objects, and one of them is going to literally just be the word score, and the other one is going to be a numerical value representing the score. So I'm going to call this first one just score text, and I'm going to call this one score value, perhaps. And this is just going to just say score, and maybe a colon and then a space. And I'm going to right align that, and let's see. I suppose I could do a fill to get them automatically spaced. We'll see how that looks if I do fill. It should split them halfway. And then you can do auto, like size to fit, so that the box will get sized to exactly as big as it needs to be. And this will be left aligned, I suppose. We actually need to make this a bit bigger, which we have to turn off this for. But it depends on how we want to format the score value. If we want it to be filled with zeros, and then those zeros get overwritten with real numbers as the player increases their score. So like some arcade games have, all of the decimal places filled in with zeros, and then the numbers increase as the player gets points. And some games, I think actually the Lumines on PSP, the score, the word score is vertically above this number, so this number doesn't have like any space it needs to fill. So the number doesn't have any leading zeros, it only has the number that it is. But I think I'm going to go ahead and have some leading zeros just so that the player knows how many digits they can get. I don't think we need this many. I think 8 is probably good. That's still way more than anyone's ever going to get. But let's see what it looks like if we size the content now. It still is like smaller than the 000, so something, maybe I press auto there, maybe that's better. but I'm definitely not a UI guru. But anyway, I'm going to anchor this to the top right so that different resolutions will take into account the offsets and size the UI elements accordingly, space them out according to the screen size. Anchors allow you to place things relative to a certain point, and then different screen sizes will keep that relative offset so that the UI works with different resolutions. So I'll go ahead and say align this 0.5, 0.5. Then if all of the position was 0, the box would be directly on the anchor if both of these are half. So now I'm just going to offset it by like a certain amount in both directions. And it has to be negative so it goes to the left. So maybe like 300 or 200 and 100 maybe. Or maybe 50, I don't know. I just want to kind of get it so that it's equally spaced from the top of the screen and the right side of the screen. But it depends on how big this element is, which is why I want it to be the same size. I want the leading zeros here so that the box doesn't like change size based on how long this number is. So let's try maybe 75 and then like negative 175. Not perfect, but doesn't have to be perfect. Also, this is way too small. Probably want it to be a tiny bit bigger. So we can change the font size to maybe 48 instead of 24. That might be too big. Maybe 36. And then here we want this to be vertically aligned in the center. Also make it 36. Same with this. Let's make them vertically aligned. And now we need to move this over more, so maybe negative 275, negative 250. That could be alright. And also the typeface, the font here. I kind of like the Roboto, just the default font, but there's certainly more fitting fonts for whatever style you're going for. And you can probably just get Google fonts. I might get some Google fonts later to customize this so it doesn't look like a default asset. But for now, I'm just going to leave it like that while we're testing things out. And on the left-hand side here, for the box containing the next preview quad, for now I'm going to just put a box like somewhere on screen, and then I'll change it based on what it looks like in game. I tried to find a way to use Unreal's tools to make like a border with rounded edges. That way it would be like a vector object, and then it would scale properly without any aliasing. But I wasn't able to figure out how to do it with Unreal's tools, like with the border object here. So I just made a rounded rectangle in paint.net. And so it's a PNG, so it does have an alpha channel, but it still has aliasing because it's only an 800 by 800 square image. So it's not perfect, but I figured rounded edges make it a little more stylish than just having a literal square box. The only thing I could manage to do with Unreal's border object was make a literal square on screen, which I think the rounded edges give it a little bit more flair. So I'll stick with this object for now, and hopefully it is good enough. So I still need to find out where to place this so that's the right size and location on screen, so that it represents where the quad is that we want to call the next quad. So I'll go ahead and make one more text object, and I'll just say next for now, and I'll tweak this and make it look a little prettier later. But if I just say next and then size the content, and I'll make it the same font size as that one, so 36, and I'll get it, aligned properly to this box. But for now, I just want to see if I can get the box into the right location on screen. Oh, let me go over how to actually add this to the screen. So for now, I'm just going to place it here in the game mode at begin play. We can make a function that handles all of the UI spawning and everything, but to add a UI element to the screen, you need to use the create widget node, and then you choose what type of widget, what blueprint you're making this from. So it's the UI HUD that we've made. using the reference to the object we just created, we add this to the viewport, which is what the screen actually shows. So it fills the entire screen, which is what we're doing anyways with the UI. We're treating this as the entire borders of the screen, and then when we add to viewport, it's just filling the screen anyway, so it works out. And I'll move this over a little bit, but for now let's just test what this looks like in game and find out where we need to put this box. It's too large right now, obviously. I don't know if these are perfect locations for these. I wanted them to be spaced out so it's easy to tell which one's which, but they could be, you know, closer together, and this one could be about halfway down the screen instead of like 4/5 or, you know, 7/10 or however far it is down the screen. But, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, so I think I'll just use this, and it needs to be about, you know, maybe 120, and it needs to be moved down about let's see, 100. Let's just see where that puts it. Could be too small now, actually. Okay, it's getting there. And maybe it should be a different color too, like, so it's not white, but I don't know what would be better. Maybe like a orange or yellow. But I think that, you know, gets the point across. Let's see what it looks like when things animate through it. It's, is it better than nothing? I don't know. That's for you to judge, I suppose. Maybe it, you know, makes things a little more clear. You more quickly realize what's happening there when you look to the left and say, okay, that's the block I'm going to get next. It's sort of self-explanatory that way, instead of having to figure it out, which could take, you know, a few seconds of play, and you want the player to immediately know what they're doing, so maybe it's better like this. That's a interesting bug. Okay, I'm now rejoining this video after trying to debug the dropping mechanics and trying to figure out why some blocks weren't dropping after the highlighted blocks below them got cleared. But if you watched the previous video where I finally figured out what was causing that bug and fixed it and added the new solution, then you're now already caught up to where I was. So now we will continue working on the UI. So here we have that next box, and it's looking alright. I think it's a decent size and shape, and the placement is okay, so it's feeling pretty good about that. Now the dropping mechanics are working properly, we can focus on the scoring, which should be relatively simple to add. So the way the scoring works is it's based on how many 2x2 squares, how many matched quads the timer bar clears. So if it clears, you know, one matched quad, or here this timer bar passes through the whole grid and clears 2 matched quads just there in this pass. So if it, you get points for every matched quad you make, and that includes if you have, you know, a 2x3 block of squares, then that's actually, like right here is actually 2 quads, even though it's only 7 total blocks. So we need to be a little bit nuanced in how we calculate the score we add. It's not just every single individual block that gets cleared gives you points. It's how many quads you clear. So this is actually only 6 blocks, but it's 2 quads that are cleared. So if we want to say give, you know, I don't know, 10 points as a base, or 100 points, whatever feels right to you, but I think I'm going to just go with 10 points as a base number. And so if it's 10 points per quad, this is going to be 20 points, even though it's 6 quads. So what we need to do is find a way to make sure that the number of points we add is always the correct amount, regardless of how many blocks are actually cleared. And then we also need to worry about the combos, which if there are 3 quads cleared in one cycle of the timer bar, then the combo increments up to a max of like ×5. So right here the combo wouldn't increment, but here we have 3 total quads cleared right there. So that would be enough to increment the combo, and it increments when the timer bar hits here and goes to the left again. The combo will increase if you had at least 3 cleared quads. So that'll take a little bit of nuance to figure out how to do it properly. The block has the determine matches, which calculates how many matches this block itself is a part of. If we do a few calculations and say, let's imagine we have 6 total blocks, right? A 2x3 square like this. And 4 of these 6 will consider themselves part of one match, and 2 of these 6 will consider themselves part of 2 matches. So that's a total of 8 matches. Like the number, this number, num matches, if you sum up the num matches value for these 6 blocks, is going to be 8. So that equates to 8 blocks, which is a total of 2 quads of 4. So if we extended that to, I guess we'll just do a 2x4 block like this, then there is going to be 4 of these 8 count themselves as part of one match, and 4 of these 8 count themselves as part of 2 matches. So that's going to again be a total of 12, which is equivalent to 3 quads, which is what this is in the real game of Lumines. So that means that we can use the summation of the num matches value of every block that's cleared to find out how many actual quads were cleared in that cycle. So if I'm just babbling right now, hopefully it'll make sense in a minute, but I think we have everything already in place to accurately increment our scores. So determine matches is being called, let's find out where this function is being called. It's being called on check for matches on all blocks, and that's getting called by drop all blocks to fill gaps. So this is only happening right here. We may need to get the value of like num matches when we run this function and have it be associated with the block itself, not just a return value. That way when we clear the highlighted array, we can use that number to compute the score. So let's give each block a new variable, and this num matches value is actually going to be set on the block itself rather than given as a return value, because we want to make sure it stays on the block, and that way when those blocks are cleared, that information can be accessed at the moment it's being cleared. So let's say current num matches, and it's a new integer value, and when we return from determine matches, this local variable is going to be the new value for our top level variable here. And I believe we can just remove this output value from this function. If we just triple check all the cases where this function is being called, it's only being called in one place, which is right here. And the output is never being used, so we can remove this output variable. And should still compile, and everything should still work. And then we need to use this value, current num matches, when we clear the highlighted array, which we do here in the timer bar. Clear all highlighted blocks. So as we go through the highlighted array and clear all the actors, before we destroy them, we need a local variable here, which we'll call total num matches. Now the phrase num matches is not really accurate to what it represents, but it's the unit we're using to measure the score increase. So I'm going to put an integer, it's going to be an integer, I'm going to write a description that says this value is used to calculate the score increase resulting from this clearing of highlighted blocks. So we're just going to get each block's current num matches and add it to total num matches. So we're going to set total num matches to the sum of this element's current num matches plus the old value of total num matches. So after we've cycled through every single block in the highlighted array, this number will just be the total of all these values of the individual elements. And if everything is according to plan, it should be a number that's evenly divisible by 4. So all we need to do is divide this total number by 4 to get how many actual quads have been cleared on that cycle. So I'm not sure that's going to work, but we'll test it out right now and see if that's accurate. So when we clear all the highlighted blocks, we're going to print something, print string, and that string is just going to be this number divided by 4, and we'll see if that gives us the numbers we expect based on the intuitive knowledge of how Lumines works. So if hopefully I'll see a 1 right now after this highlight happens. So yeah, that's a 1, and then this would be 2. Actually, this would be 3 right now. Yes, that's what we expect. This would be 2. This would be 4. This would be 2. This would be, let's find out. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 different quads are contained in this 3x3 block. So that should be 4. And if I add this, that's 5 total. So yeah, it does seem to work in all cases, regardless of the shape of your combinations. It looks like it does give the accurate value for the total number of quads cleared. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 total quads contained in the highlighted blocks right now. Okay, so that is good. Again, that should be 4, 5, 6. Okay, I feel relatively confident that this works now. There's other shapes I haven't tested yet, but pretty sure that's going to work. That's 3. Okay, so now we have a way to calculate the number of matches per cycle. But this isn't the total per cycle, this is the total this time through, like at this exact clearing of highlighted blocks. But you could clear highlighted blocks multiple times in one cycle across the grid. So we need to have a higher leveled variable here called num quads cleared this cycle. And by cycle, I mean one journey from left to right, and then that's one cycle is all the way from left to right of the grid, and then when it restarts, that's a new cycle. So this number is going to start out as 0 and get increased by total num matches divided by 4. This value is going to be added to num quads cleared this cycle. And then we reset this variable every time we get to the right-hand side of the grid. So I can remove this print for now and add this value to num quads cleared this cycle. So I have to, again, add it to itself. So this plus this gives the new value of this. And this is the number that will be displayed above the timer bar, showing the current number of matches this cycle, which will then represent, this will determine whether or not we make a combo and get to the next level of combo. So Now we have that. So let's go ahead and add a new UI element, which is actually going to not be in the HUD. It could be in the HUD, but if we want it to follow the timer bar closely, we'll actually want to add a widget component to the timer bar and have it be located, at the top of the timer bar. So let's go ahead and add a widget component to the timer bar itself like this. And these allow you to paint onto the screen wherever you want, basically. So I'm going to move it up above the timer bar, and you need to put it, you don't need to, but I'm going to put it in screen space so that it's flat 2D object. And I'm going to move it a little bit to the left so that we'll just see what it looks like. But we also need to create a class for it. So let's go ahead and do that now. Let's go to the UI folder. I'm going to add a new widget class, widget blueprint called UI_combo tracker. Whatever sounds good to you, but I'm going to call it combo tracker. And it's going to be like a dark gray background, even though the whole background is black. I want to have like a square of gray and then the number in white on top of that square. So I'll go ahead and just make a border, I suppose. And inside this border, I'll put a text element. So drop it on top of it so that it's childed to it. And then let's make the border like a dark gray color. And darker than that even. And size to content. Center the content. Just to be safe, I'm gonna take the anchor of this border and put it in the center, and then put this at 0.5, 0.5, so that we know this will go exactly where we want it to go with 0 offset. So wherever we place the widget component in the 3D world is where this will end up being centered directly on it. So we'll go ahead and increase the font size of this too to 48. And this number, the content of this text box, first I'm going to rename the text box to combo value. Or it's not the combo, rather, it's the number of matches this cycle. So num quads value. And so this name of the blueprint is actually incorrect. It's maybe a subtle and confusing distinction, but the combo tracker is actually going to be part of the HUD. And this is just the number of cycles, the number of matches this cycle, which determines whether your combo increases or not. But the combo is the current level of multiplier, whereas this is how many matches you've made, which you need at least 3 to increase your multiplier. I'll instead call this matched quad counter, or something like that. It's descriptive, but maybe not great. Not a perfect description of what it is, but good enough. In order to make this text update dynamically, we have a couple options here. We can either bind it directly to the value of num quads cleared the cycle in the timer bar. We can go ahead and do that because it's pretty simple, but there may be better ways to do it. Like you could instead have this blueprint have its own variable that it gets updated whenever this one changes. So like we could have the timer bar send out an event dispatch whenever this value changes, and then on that event, whenever that dispatcher triggers, then the UI element can update its own value to match. That could end up being more performant in the long run, because then we're not constantly dereferencing the timer bar to get this value. But I prefer the dereferencing method because it just seems simpler. But if you have dozens of events and effects going on whenever one value changes, it's probably better to have an event dispatcher. But since this game is so simple, I'm just going to have the direct references. So when this constructs itself, all we need to do is get the timer bar reference, and then once we have the reference, we can just get this value whenever we need it. So the game mode has a reference to the timer bar. So an easy way to get that from construction is to just get the game mode, which is always gettable no matter where you are, like what blueprint you're in. So we can just get game mode cast to our game mode type, and then get the timer bar reference, and then set this value, like make our own variable called timer bar. That way we don't have to dereference multiple layers every time. We just go straight to here and then dereference and get the value that we want. So timer bar BP, and then we set this to the value we get here, and we get timer bar. Now this is the game mode's timer bar, but we want to set our timer bar to that value. And now the value that this text will show, we can create a new binding, which will make a new function. And all we do is we use our timer bar reference and get num quads cleared this cycle. Convert that to text. And then this value will always be updated on the widget that will be tracking along with the timer bar. So that should be all we need to do here. The size of this thing is probably going to change as the number changes, but we'll see how it looks. For now it's probably going to be a bit wacky, but well, let's see what happens. We might just need to set this like this, and it might just work, but we'll see. I set the wrong UI object. Oops. So this should actually be UI matched quad counter. And now we have that number trailing along like that, but it's a little bit too low and too far to the left. So I also want it to not fit the size of the text, but instead be a fixed size, so it's easier to set the size of. So let's go back to here and don't do size to content, but instead we'll just set the size ourselves to be, I'm going to change the default text here so that it says 10, just so that I know what a 2-digit number looks like. And we want the text to be centered like that. And we want this to be maybe like that might be good. So then reset its position to 0, 0, and we'll see what that looks like. But we need to move the widget component up and a bit to the right, I think. Well, let's see what it looks like now, actually. So yeah, it needs to be moved a little bit to the left and a little bit up, and then it should be pretty good. So that's the widget component that needs to move in 3D space. So set a little bit up and a little bit to the left. I don't know the exact amounts, but we'll see what that looks like. That's not bad. That's probably actually a little bit bigger than it needs to be, but if you consult a video of the real game, it sort of looks like that. This is just a box trailing along with the timer bar, and it lets you know how many matches you've made this cycle. So let's see if the number updates properly. So now we're going to set up some matches, and that should be 4, 5 total right now. So it increases as it goes along, just like the real one does. But it needs to be reset when we get to the left, obviously. We're not doing that right now. So that's good. Now we just need to reset this value whenever we get to the right here. And this is also where we would increment our combo. So let's go ahead and create a score. Time to do some scoring stuff here. So let's just make a score variable, which is just going to be an integer in the game mode. And I'm going to also make a combo multiplier value. And I'll make a points per quad cleared. And that's just the base number of points that you get. So base value, base number of points awarded for clearing 1 2x2 quad of highlighted blocks. And the score is just the current score value the player has, and this is the current multiplier as a result of maintaining a combo. Starts at 1x maximum of 5x. So when the timer bar gets to the right hand side, we first check this value and see if it's greater than I'm going to use another variable here just so that we don't have any magic numbers. And I'm going to call it num quads to clear to in order to achieve combo. So this is how many quads have to be cleared in one cycle. How many quads must be cleared in one cycle of the timer bar in order to increment the combo multiplier. So this should all sound totally logical if you have familiarized yourself with the rules of Lumines. So you need to clear 3 quads in one cycle in order to boost your combo up by 1 multiplier amount. And once you get to 5, you just keep 5 until you fail to keep your combo up. So the timer bar can go ahead and do this logic, I suppose, because it's the one that gets to the edge. Or no, let's go ahead and just do it in the game mode. We'll just tell the game mode to run a function that does this kind of thing. So we'll say get the game mode reference here and just have the game mode run a function called update combo. And so this just gets the timer bar reference and gets num quads cleared this cycle. If this value is greater than num quads to clear in order to achieve combo, or sorry, greater than or equal to, right? So greater than or equal to 3. If that's true, then we increment our combo multiplier. So we actually need to do a floor, or not floor, but minimum. So is there a min int? Yes, perfect. Min int. So it's going to be either let's say max combo multiplier, and just move that to here. So I'm going to start organizing my variables. I'll go ahead and do that right now. So I'm going to make a new category called scoring variables. So every variable relating to score is going to be sorted into this like subcategory, so it's easier to keep track of your dozens of variables. So all you gotta do is click and drag them to this new category. So this is just everything that's related to scoring points. So if the number of quads cleared the cycle is greater than or equal to this number, we want to increment combo multiplier, but only up to a maximum of 5. So we're going to set combo multiplier to the lower number of, well, this first I have to compile, so I can set this to 5. Combo multiplier plus 1 and 5. So say combo multiplier is currently 4, then it will be incremented to 5, and so it's just going to be 5. But if combo multiplier is already 5, then this would be 6, but we're going to keep the lower number of the two, so it'll stay at 5, because we don't want it to go above 5. I mean, you could let it go above 5 if you don't care. Like, if you want to reward players who are really, really good at keeping combo up. But the game was balanced to prevent you from getting an incredibly high combo and just getting, you know, a billion points. All we're going to do is check and see if we have enough clears to increment our combo. If we do, then we increment our combo. If we don't, we reset our combo to 1. And then we just are done with this function. The timer bar can go ahead and reset its variable to 0 after that. So reset this value to 0. And that should be that. We still need to actually apply the scoring whenever we clear blocks. And that could be a good place to end this video. I think we've got basic UI elements taken care of already. So it reset properly to 0, and now this should be a big number of them. 11, yeah, so that's pretty good. We need to actually have the combo displayed on screen too, so we'll do that. So in the HUD, we'll add another text box here at the same elevation, but, or I guess we could do it below. So we'll have a, we're going to do something similar to this. We'll call this box the score box, and I'll go ahead and duplicate this, copy paste. I'll copy this one's position too, which doesn't get saved for some reason. Negative 250 and 75. And maybe I'll do 150. And instead of score, it's going to be combo box. So I'll here put combo text and just have it say combo colon space. And then here, instead of a bunch of zeros, just have it say 1x here, but the number is going to change based on, well, I kind of want to keep the numbers from, like, if the number is a different length, you know, a different width, it's going to move the word combo around because it's currently at size to fit. But we'll see how it looks. It might not be that bad, but it can look a little, you know, janky if your text jumps around as your number changes. But we'll see how it looks for now. I'm going to move it to the left a little bit though, so that it lines up with the right hand side. Like that. And then this number, instead of just saying 1x, I'm going to bind it to the current value of the combo multiplier. So again, we need the game mode. So just like we did in this other UI element in the graph, game mode reference. So we don't need timer bar right now. So in the event graph, once we get the game mode, we just set our game mode rep variable to this same reference here. And now that we have the game mode reference, we can just get the combo multiplier value and set that as our text. But we actually want it to be, we want to have the letter X appended to it. So to get that X appended to the text, we can do a format text node. And then when we use, I think we use curly braces like this, so we'll have number X like that. And then you plug in the number here like so. And this puts that number inside of these curly braces and appends the X to it. So it'll say 1X or 2X or 3X like a combo number. So let's see what that looks like. 0x. So something is probably wrong here because it should start at 1. Unless I didn't set that properly. Yeah, I didn't set that as the proper default in the game mode. So the combo multiplier should default to 1, as the tooltip says. And now we actually use the combo to increment our score. But let's see, combo should be 1 now because we didn't have 3, but now this should be like 4 or 5 total here. 5, so now it should increment to 2 combo, yeah. And now it should increment to 3 combo because we got at least 3 in this cycle. And now this time we're not going to manage to get 3 total in this cycle, so it's going to reset to 1. Okay, cool. So now we just need to actually increase our score. So when the timer bar clears highlighted blocks here, the total num matches divided by 4. So this number right here is going to be how many points we award, how many blocks we award points for. So we'll make a new function in the game mode called update score, which will take in a input called num quads cleared. It's just going to be an integer, not an array. And that is going to be this value, not this value, sorry, but this value. It's the number that were just now cleared. Not the total of this whole cycle, but just now. So before we go ahead and set num quads clear this cycle, we can just run on the game mode update score and feed in this value. Doesn't really matter whether we do it before or after. I say it doesn't matter, but hopefully it doesn't matter. So now inside update score, we increase our current score value by however many points this awards us given our multiplier. So this number times our multiplier, well, times base points per quad cleared times multiplier. I can just do a three pins here. So the number of quads cleared times the points per quad cleared times the multiplier will give us how many points we actually get for this clearing. And this number gets added to our current score to give us our new score. And that's all we have to do for this function. So let's see if that works out as I expect. So the base value is 10 points per quad. So if here we have 2 quads, well 3 quads, so that should be just 30 points. Oh well, I'm not actually tying the value to the score variable. So back to the HUD again. Now we need to do one more binding of the score text here to the score variable. So we want to convert this score variable to text, but we want to do some formatting, so we want to, we don't need to do grouping, which is like putting commas to separate a really big number like million, you know, 1, 0, 0, 0. And we want to have a minimum number of digits. So we want that to be 8. Actually, I also want the maximum number to be 8, but no one's ever going to get that many points. But I guess we'll go ahead and say 8. Someone might get that many points, but we're not going to account for that. They'll just break our game if they get that many points. So this hopefully will do what I want it to do, and give it a bunch of leading zeros. So we'll see if that works. So that should be just 10 points for 1 quad cleared. It's still not showing the number. Points per quad cleared is set to 0 right now, so obviously it's going to make it 0 no matter what. So that should be 10, or whatever we want it to be. But I'll say 10 for now. There we go. Now it should properly work now. That should be 20 points. And then soon we'll get a combo and see if that works properly. So this will start our combo, but for now that should be, let's see, yeah, 70 points. Now we have a combo, so this is 2 matches, so that should be 40 points added. So yeah, 130 is the new total. Perfect. But yeah, I think everything's working, so that's super great. So now we just need to worry about game over, and then we're pretty much done, I think. There might be something else I'm forgetting, but it's getting pretty close to being like Lumines. Obviously sound effects, so anyway, we'll end this video here, and then the next video we'll cover the game over state, and then we'll add some sound effects, and then we'll pretty much be done. So getting there.